When it comes to style and swagger, nobody does it in the lands between quite like the Grave Warden Duelists. When you start a boss fight with them, they throw their cape off. They have giant unique weapons, with giant unique moves. Surely we can do all of those moves too, right? Okay, some of the moves? Any of the moves? One of the moves? Ow. Well, we can still use the Duelist Axe and Hammer, I guess. And the Grave Warden Duelist Spirit Ashes. Bummer. Well, at least we can see how the weapons work. And the weapons work pretty great. To watch these runs live, follow us on Twitch. We're finding fun ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Join the Patreon to support the channel and hop into some games of Commander and Helldivers. And make sure you like and subscribe. Hitting 100,000 subscribers is #1 on this year's to-do list. Or should I say, this year's Grave Warden to-do list? Okay, y'all, I will be honest. We started with a Bloodhound Gang needle drop because the most popular video on our channel was loaded with references to the Bloodhound Gang. I don't know how to appeal to the algorithm. We'll try that. If you watched the Kenneth Haidt run, you'll remember that we had to farm in the middle of that run. If you didn't watch that video yet, cue it up after this one. It was fun. But yeah, if you want to farm this gear at home, don't beat Malekith. You can only get these guys in the Royal Capital, not the Ashen Capital. You beat Malekith, it removes these guys from the world. We're really lucky starting off. The cloak drops on number 3, Venusaur. Surely that luck will continue. Drop rates are 3%. For the gear, 4% on the weapon. On 7 and 8, Squirtle and Wartortle, we get 2 more cloaks. That seems absurd, but let's just talk about what we did here. I made sure to grab the Silver Scarab Talisman and the Silver Mask, raising our item discovery up to about 188. That's almost double the odds. Actually, still absurdly lucky for the cloaks, though we only need 1, so no it isn't. It's not like we can throw the cloak off at the start of every fight. But hey, FromSoft, that would be a sick Ash of War, one that alters your chest piece if it's alterable, and gives you a bonus until you rest at a grace and then the cape comes back on. That'd be lovely. Another frequently asked question from the chat, there are no arm pieces for the Grave Warden set. The snake bracelets are just part of the chest piece, don't really know why. Pants at 16, that's Pidgey, still pretty good odds, though more average actually. Remember, we almost doubled the odds, so 6% would be about 1 in 17. But boy, we get a lot of extra cloaks. And still no weapons until number 20, where we get our first hammer. That's Raticate, by the way. Since each of them has different weapons, it's number 10, which would be Caterpie, whatever. The weapons are about a 2 in 25 chance, so getting it on number 10 is pretty nice. We need 2 hammers, 1 axe. I'm not really all that worried about it. This is gonna go great. It's only gonna be like 20 runs, tops. Eventually we gotta go back to the round table hold. I figure we'll just buy the Silver Freed from Gostok's bell bearing, but Gostok is alive. Remember how I said I wouldn't kill him that run?
I lied.
That's going to give us 50 more item discovery and get these things dropping right away. Unfortunately, when you pickle, to get the most out of it, you have to walk all the way back to the Grace, then walk all the way back to the fight. We only get 2 runs per pickle. It's really not worth the extra time it takes to run back. Number 31, we get the headpiece. Last time I farmed, I was talking about how number 34 is Nidoking. We always get the drops there. Well, number 31 is Nidoqueen and is more likely to give us the headpiece. Google Nidoqueen giving head on your work computer to find out more. Check your search history. It might already be in there. Now we just need the weapons, which actually have better drop rates, so it'll be great. Okay, something weird is happening here. Not just the bad farming luck. Occasionally, during the chain whip attack from the Axe Duelist, rot builds up. These dudes don't have rot. The ones in the snowfield do, and it doesn't even have to hit us. It's just like an aura of rot, and it happens multiple times. I couldn't find anyone else experiencing this when I tried to Google it, so if you have, let me know. I think sometimes the game just kinda doesn't work, and farming with terrible luck is a great way to stress test the game, you know? You find the cracks in it. I'm pretty sure if Extra Life pulls the drop rates from the game files, so I don't doubt their accuracy. I only doubt that the universe is truly unflinching and uncaring. You can say there's no evidence of luck, fortune, or divine power, but in my subjective life experience, evidence points to some cosmic force, some greater will that doesn't like me very much. Eventually, we roll poorly and die. Again, we're stress testing the game. They're farming us for bad luck or timing, and eventually they win out. That also staggers our farming numbers, but like, they're just both at 35 at this point, since the weapon checks have to be done gun separate from the gear checks. Both can drop the gear, we have all the gear, so we're done counting that. If it seems confusing that the number is still so low. Low here being triple the average odds as we hit 38, but 38 is also where we get our second hammer. That's Ninetales. Pretty nice. How many more times for the axe? Let's see. I guess as we wait for some luck, we can talk about why we count with Pokemon. Pokemon also has probability attached to it and variance. That's about it, actually. And I'll be real, I just kind of like Pokemon. Eventually, streaming Phil stopped counting, but writing Phil never stops. He never sleeps. He's always there, counting. Having the second hammer is actually kind of helpful, because we can go a little faster by just killing the axe guy. At farm number 48, we have 5 sets of pants, 5 sets of cloaks, 1 helmet. No axe. Obviously, because we'd be done. Worth noting that around 50, we have quadrupled the odds. Still nothing. It's wild. This is wild. This is gonna be an hour to try and roll a 12 on a D12. I really should do a flying a boss every time I run back. Like, hello America, I'm about to whiff again. I broke the first Elden Lord stance, but I'm not critting him. Which Elden Ring character would be on TikTok? Mikola for sure. I feel like Korn would be trying to reach the kids. Moog would also be trying to reach the kids, but in a different way. We died again. Averaging a death every 28 runs through here. That's not terrible considering we're wearing a Snuggie. Fun fact, I was gonna wear a Snuggie while streaming this run. I have a Kingdom Hearts 2 one, but I don't know where it is. RIP to me. At 63 or Abra, we have quintupled the odds, and for the curious, no, nothing for number 69, Bellsprout.
You were the chosen one!
75 is sextuple the odds, that's Graveler, that does not rock. We really just keep grabbing so many cloaks. I'm like the guest bedroom mattress at a holiday party. Finally, we get the drop after an hour and a half of farming, which is Dodrio, and almost septuple the odds. Absolutely terrible farming luck. Silver Scarab really is the placebo talisman. Then we took this run and finished it off with Kenneth Haight. It went great. Oh hey, let's do the lore from the cloak. Defensive wear encircled by bronze snakes, worn by gladiators who were driven from the Colosseum. The wearer becomes a slightly easier target for foes. The snake is viewed as a traitor to the Erdtree, and the audience delighted in seeing these bronze effigies beaten and battered. Okay, so the snakes are traitors to the Erdtree. Mesmer has snakes. I swear to God, if we get a Grave Warden Spirit Ash in the shadow of the Erdtree after I did all of this, I will be jazzed. I'll still be jazzed. I just think they're neat. This hasn't made me hate them at all. I love these dudes. And you know how you know they're cool? The armor gives them haters. It draws enemy aggro. Fans come and go, but haters never miss an episode. Seriously, check the comments. I have people who are mad at me from months ago, still yelling about Dragon Maw. From the hammer, large iron great hammer designed for gladiatorial combat, used by duelists who were exiled from the Colosseum, weighty enough to crush armor and its wearer alike. Okay, little confused here. The hammer is for gladiatorial combat, but used by duelists who were exiled from the Colosseum? Huh? Like, get out of here. You're fired from the forced combat job, but before you go, have a badge and a gun. Okay, from the axe. Great axe designed for gladiatorial combat, used by duelists who were exiled from the Colosseum. A weapon reserved for duelist champions, the charged attack is particularly ferocious. Okay, so fun fact, axes and great axes generally have stronger charged attacks than similarly sized weapons, but since this axe is a colossal weapon, not a great axe, it would miss out on that. But I believe they did tune up the damage as though it were an axe. No mention of this bonus number on Fextra. I did some digging through the rest of the internet, and in small corners this is mentioned. It also corroborates with some anecdotal evidence from later. Trust me, you'll enjoy seeing that. And honestly, this axe needs something good about it, because the Duelist Great Axe is tied for the shortest colossal weapon, with the rotten Duelist Great Axe. And the Battle Hammer is tied for the shortest Great Hammer, with the rotten Battle Hammer.
We got a certified chode on our hands. Little tuna can.
Surely, this will cause no problems. Hey look, Kenneth beat Malenia, good for him, and he saved no rune arcs. Let's go respec for the stats we need, nothing but vigor, endurance, and strength. I love it here. Should we maybe save some of Malenia's runes for upgrading our weapons? Probably, but we all make mistakes. Time to put on that armor and, oh boy, this is some Wish.com shit, huh? Why is our head so triangular? Why do we look like Peridot from Steven Universe? Embarrassing. Let's start off with the easy stuff, we have Braggart's Roar from killing Boggart last run. But if we go to the Weeping Peninsula and another merchant by Raya Lucaria, we can buy 2 Lost Ashes of War to get 3 copies of Braggart's Roar. 1 for each hammer, 1 for the Great Axe, which currently just has Endure. Ah, Endure. It's the 4:30 on a Friday afternoon of Ashes of War, because it's phoning it in. I'm gonna grab the Roar Medallion quick, since the Braggart Roar will boost our charge attack damage, and thus be boosted further by the Roar Medallion. And there's some Smithing Stone 1s in the Stone Digger Cave, sounds good. Unupgraded, it's hard to tell how well this weapon will do, but it beats Limgrave bosses at +0 very easily, so does everything else. Now we have a problem. We need runes to upgrade 3 weapons and a Spirit Ash. There's some Erdtree avatars in the mountaintops we can burn pretty quickly with the Erd Steel Dagger. Didn't have enough runes to level the axe yet, but now we're gonna use the axe. I mean, we killed the boss in the mountaintops with the gold scarab attached. Surely that will be enough money to level up the axe, right?
Not this time.
Okay, a bigger boss. We use the axe and a couple octopi to take out the Great Worm Theodore Rex.
I'm too sexy for my clothes.
Now that should get the axe maxed out and get our hammers going a little bit too. Interesting note, the axe is 20 pounds and each hammer is 10 pounds even, which means no matter which duelist we are doing it with, we'll have the same equip load. Weird. We can grab a few more runes from Garank and it looks like this axe is hitting. Still not ideal. I haven't fixed the physic just yet, but it hits. Then the smithing stone is floating, so we have to platform right to grab it. Oh, I'm simply too good. For more runes, we'll fight the Blackblade Kindred, and it sucks when you whiff it right away. The Braggart Roar charged attack makes you run forward with a happy Gilmore-ass looking drive. So we whiff the first attack, but the rest of the attacks land, and it's fine. We're so poor right now. Fighting the Blackblade Kindred is something only a true broke boy would resort to. But we are still broke, so, Knights Cavalry, I guess? We'll fight it, weapons maxed out, should be easy. But this chode does not attack well on horseback, so we handle things on foot. It doesn't go super smoothly, but you don't get bonus points for a close shave. Still need more money. Let's hit up the Dragon Barrow Cave. Might as well grab the Bull Goat's Talisman here while we're at it. It'll give us more poise if we need it later. We don't need it later, but it's an option I thought we might want. At the bottom of the cave, we can fight the Beastmen of Farum Azula, instantly stance breaking and murdering the skinny one before he even knew what hit him. Then the charged attacks hit pretty hard. Not as hard as they will when I remember to fix the physic, but they're pretty good. Sadly, this build also needs 3 ancient smithing stones, but the final one we need is up in Farum Azula, being blocked by another Beastman. He falls off. What a fool. Good news though, gamers, I'm fast on the quit out. But hey, you can't use 2 hammers and an axe at the same time, unless you're holding a hammer in your mouth like Zoro One Piece. No, we won't have Zoro's piece in our mouth. We'll just grab the Grave Warden buddy from the Mimic tier. If FromSoft won't give me a Grave Warden Spirit Ash, I'll make one at home. We already have the Ghost Bell Bearing to buy us the weed we need up to 6, but for higher level stuff, we need to go on a little mini quest. Just one more mini quest. First, crush a ball in Noxtella. The Grave Warden Duelists are really good at crushing balls. Google Grave Warden Duelist ball crushing on your work computer to find out why. That'll get us the Great Ghosty, and then the 9 is in a chest downstairs. Oh, we still need more money. Oh, goddamn. Exicus, I guess? He lives in Caelid, but I might as well call it Whiff City. This chode can't get to that dragon's head. To be fair, it is in some janky locations. These little mushroom hills make the positioning rough. But we do win. It's a Caelid boss, and we're rocking those endgame stats. That'll max out the Mimic and get us ready to start our new journey. But what if you wanted to help us out on the YouTube creator journey? Well, then you should check out today's sponsor, the Patreon. That's right, this video doesn't have a sponsor other than the wonderful folks over at Patreon who are giving me money. You might be one of them, but you might not be. And if you're not, let me try to convince you to join. You see, I used to have this Dungeness Dragons channel, but that died for a multitude of reasons. So since the Patreon used to, and still kind of is for Dungeons and Dragon stuff, and is also a little bit Elden Ring, I just went ahead and equalized all the Patreon tiers. If you give me $1, you get the same benefits as if you give me $50. It really just depends on how much you enjoy this content and how much you want to support it with your money. Obviously, you don't have to give us our money, but if you do, we've got some perks in there for you. There's exclusive videos about niche little topics, but they're full episodes of the Secret Starting Class series. Some of them are in New Game Plus, I think. You can join the Discord and play games of Magic the Gathering or Helldivers with your favorite Elden Ring funny man. I'm trying to play as often as I can. It usually ends up being about once a week, but I'll post when I'm available, and then we can actually hang out and play games together. It's pretty fun. And of course, you get to vote in the polls polls, like for this video that won a poll and then still got delayed a week because of outstanding height-related shenanigans. I talked about that in a couple videos ago, so you probably know what I'm talking about. Again, nobody has to join the Patreon, but it's a nice thing to do if you're watching a lot of this content. You can literally give us $1 a month and it helps us out a lot. Check it out, see if you like it, cancel it whenever you want. I don't really care. Now enough of that shilling. Let's get back on the damage train.
I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8 38s, 9 9s, 10 Mac.
First, let's hit the grafted scion twice. That's pretty good. But y'all haven't seen damage until I remember to put the charged physic on, Phil. Come on, man. Do it. Mark it right away. With the physic, how's that change the damage?
Is that good?
That's unbelievable.
He's done before the clip even ends. Come on, that's some saucy damage. In addition to the improved charged attack damage, it gets a 10% damage buff from the roar, 15% boost from the roar medallion, 10% from the axe talisman, and 15% from the physic. Since they all stack, we get a cool 60% damage buff to the already buffer charged heavy.
I punch those numbers into my calculator, it makes a happy face.
Also, I remember to swap from Beach Orange to Coliseum Gray. Maybe it's monochrome, like that planet in Dune. Haven't seen Dune, just referencing it because people keep asking if I've seen Dune. Y'all are a bunch of nerds. Speaking of nerds, we bully Gostock, then boogie up the danger path. Against Godric, we summon the Mimic, then have to hot swap in the Axe to be the other duelist. You have to have 2 duelistses, otherwise you're just a list. But the Axe is on my list of the best things in life. It means that we're not just hauling oats, we're hauling ass. Or should I say, hauling axe? 3 puns in a row. Call that a hat trick. We're in Lernia, and as long as we're grabbing this key, might as well bonk Smaragd and fluff the numbers a little bit. It's basically free since this is on a flat arena, unlike Exicus. Raya Lucaria is home to nerds, and we bash nerds here.
Well, I can bash some nerds right now. Well, right after this, we should probably bash nerds. I gotta get it out of my system.
Even dogs can be nerds. This dog learned how to read and cast spells, but I need to bash him a specific way with the giant heavy attack. And it doesn't sit still, and it's a little hard to hit. But once we make that land, it blasts through his health bar. Look, I might say that I don't like running charged attacks, but if it's boosted by the Roar Medallion and hits this hard, maybe I could be converted. Renala is queen of the nerds. We whiff the first charge, but then still one cycle her in phase 1. Only takes 3 hits in phase 2. This truly is a pain train. Sadly, we now have to do chores and put the bashing on pause. I know, it's not what you came here for. When you come here, you're coming for 2 beefcakes with the grip on some thick instruments, but sometimes you have to delay that gratification a little bit. Like, we're halfway through the video and we haven't even mentioned being a duelist in fort height. Doesn't it feel good to wait a little bit for that? Warp back to the Dragon Barrow, it feels like we were just here, then run up the tower to Fort Pharoth for the other Dectus piece so we can go to Altus and fight the Giga Chad Radon. I've taken to riding down to Redbane Castle from the Fort Pharoth grace. It just puts a sacred tear and a stone sword key on the path. I don't know, I like it. Maybe try it yourself. Let's get this party started against Radon and summon a few backup spotters. Our number 1 bro can't come to this fight, which sucks, but I guess we'll make do. How's the damage looking against Radon? Did that hit? That must have hit, or is that the bleed? Yeah, that did so much damage I thought it was an Okina bleed proc. No, every hit just does more damage than bleed procs do. Radon doesn't get to see the glory of phase 2. He just dies. Down Radon's hole we can fight our greatest foe, ourselves. Remember, you're not competing with anyone at the gym but yourself. Take your time and do your best. Also, stack a ton of buffs on your charge attack and delete your HP bar. That part might only apply to Elden Ring. Also, make sure you have proper lighting. Don't work out in the dark, light some torches. I was joking, but it would be sick to work out by torchlight. Except for the smoke. Never mind, probably bad. Now, we don't need to hit the Regal Cinema Spirit with the charged attacks.
But I want to.
Little low-key thing I haven't mentioned. We actually have pretty decent defense. The Braggart Roar also raises our resistance by 10%. I don't need anything in the physic other than the charge boost, so we have the 10% damage resistance one. We're relatively tanky, even though we're rocking the sleeveless look, and the not sleeveless part of the shirtless look. Sun's out, guns out. With all that stacked up, we can afford to trade a little while we wait for our big-ass hits. Carry a manor, maybe, but I think I'd rather bench it with my best dude spotting me. The duelists aren't aren't lovers, they're not brothers, they're bros. This one's for the positive masculine friendships, baby. Loretta could be part of our lifting crew, but it looks like she did a little intelligence investment. Yikes. Ronnie wants us to run a lot of errands, which isn't ideal. You would want to do cardio before your resistance training. I guess it makes sense. She doesn't know. She doesn't even have a body anymore. The Ghost Adventures crew never bumps into a poltergeist doing push-ups. If they did, you know Zach Baggins would challenge that ghost to an arm wrestle.
Come over here, I'll just smack you.
Into the incel Rivermain, yeah, the duelists are combat sexuals, like Goku. They're attracted to sparring partners that will give them the greatest challenge. That means the lands between, it's like an all-you-can-smooch buffet. Even Estelle can get it, although he kinda throws, doing the tail drill attack and letting us hit him so hard in the face, just a straight-up helm splitter right to the dome. Speaking of, I think Bogart used to fight in the Colosseums too. Maybe? I don't really remember, and neither does he, because he's dead. Raya is a good reminder to have a spotter lest you end up like a noodle. We love this noodle, but it's not good for the human spine. Volcano Manor, I say Volcane Yes Manor, because we have to. Honestly, if Rykard wasn't a remembrance, we'd have no reason to come here. The Godskin Noble throws up Black Flame Ritual, but dude, I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me.
I don't like Phase 2. Let's just skip it. Just like we're gonna skip Rykard. Only for the narration. We fought him, but nothing interesting happened during the fight because it's Rykard, and nothing interesting ever happens during that fight. The Valiant Gargoyles are a duo boss. It's 2-on-2. They're not great against standard damage or strike damage, so both duelists are doing it to them. For once, it was a smooth fight. I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop as we head into Deeproot. Like, these weapons are the shortest in their class. They don't have the best AR scaling either. Let this just go to show it's not the length of the axe, it's how you swing it. And swing it we do against Fia's champions. It doesn't always hit, but when it does hit, it hits hard. One of these dudes has 2 duelist great axes.
Respect.
Respect, but not mercy. That's enough to get us into the capital, and we haven't died since we finished grinding. But NG Plus is weird and scale's weird. I'm sure something's gonna stop this pain train soon, right? I don't care about the tree. I don't care about any of this shit. I just want to fight Godfrey. But also we'll get a Great Rune activated. If you only need strength, vigor, and endurance, you gotta use the Radon Great Rune and get fat long bars at the top of your screen.
That's quite big. Impressive.
Remember gamers, no matter how much experience you have in the game, we can all fall for the bait. The Golden Seed was so tempting. That aggroes the gargoyle and we get roared. Less than full flasks for Godfrey Shade though. Good, he needs a little help. If this build loses time at any point, it's purely from the menuing, and probably fishing for charged attacks. The Mimic gets the Shade to half health before we land one, but it's the principle. My boy is hitting those 50% accurate dynamic punches years before No Guard was added to the game. There isn't a race to beat Morgoth. This is an NG Plus run, and we're not pickling. Mostly because we're done. Our stats are godly. Everything else is just kind of gravy. The poop geysers juggle us, that's pretty funny, but this train doesn't stop for sleet, snow, or dookie. Oh no, the Erd tree is covered in thorns. If only we had some sort of giant tool that was great at getting rid of thorns.
Wait a minute.
What if we take our giant axe, and hear me out here, bring it to the mountaintops of the giants, kill the last fire giant, set one of our best friends on fire, warp to a dimension outside of space and time, kill a dog that has the concept of death burned into its paw, then come back. That axe is really the perfect tool to do all that. Thorns don't stand a chance. 4 Biden lands, and while the duelists are beefy boys, fat and muscle aren't the only measurements of health. You can be fat and healthy, you can be beefy and healthy, you can be skinny and healthy. Different body types exist. Instead of narrowing the definitions of public health to weight, we should make sure that every neighborhood has access to fresh, healthy foods and pay people enough that they don't have to work multiple jobs, so they have time to cook those healthy foods. Also, Brandon, maybe try bringing a cape to your speaking events and throwing it off before you start speaking. Couldn't hurt. Boy, I can't wait to start a giant fire. Close, we can work with this. As long as he keeps his feet still. My god, when he does, this damage is bananas. Because it makes me sick. I don't like bananas. Why would you want something that's mushy, sweet, and stringy? Blech. Fire Giant is bested, and we're just gonna start pushing our strength even further beyond Super Saiyan. 60 strength is Super Saiyan. The hammers actually have S scaling on heavy, meaning that they scale up to 80 for our Mimic. Melina burns down the Erd tree for us, what a pal. Then we do some platforming through Faramazula. Godskin Duo. They're do less than us. We full charge into a black flame tornado and it just kinda keeps going. When you do this much damage, the world breaks. Swag jump, bird run, things are so hot. Convergence this, convergence that. Why don't you converge some dishes? That's... I think that's the fire alarm. Well, I believe they're just testing it. Right back to it. I moved into a new apartment. In 15 minutes, raw talent, I'm simply built different. Malakath next, everyone's favorite horse. You think he's a cat, some people think he's a dog. Compromise, he's a horse. Hey, quick question though, dude. Where's my stance break? One fully charged attack. Mimic keeps the pressure up into a second charged attack into phase 2. 2 more hits and a whiff, but then another hit and another one on the nose. The only thing that makes sense to me is that we must have got it on the phase transition. This is a colossal weapon and Malakath is not the best at standing through those breaks. Gideon will never flinch from the first hit, so we make him flinch on the second one by sending him into the sky. Hopefully Godfrey can provide us with a proper challenge, though we do have twice the axe he does, in thickness. His is longer, but ours has a full head. He stands still enough that we're able to get some meaty charged attacks in and head into phase 2 pretty unscathed. Mimic gets hit with the daddy grabby, then we whiff a charge before the big stomp, only for the Mimic to finish it off with a bit of revenge. Nobody grabs that Mimic but me. Radagon's gonna be the one to give us a proper challenge, surely. He hits pretty hard, but not all that hard. Braggart's Roar really does make you pretty bulky. Let the Mimic take the hammer slammer aggro, then we finish with a big old slam. Elden Beast gets 3 quick charge attacks and lowers his health so far down that he forgets to do the big ring. He's at like 20% left, so I just greed in for the win.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Look, that's the first death since grinding. I don't feel too bad about it, but it is disappointing. Get back in there and roar it up. It's time to admit, I was wrong about this. This rips. The axe rips. Everything about this rips despite not having all the cool exclusive moves of the Duelist in the overworld. A few whiffs in the Elden Beast fight, it's not looking as good as the last one, but the last one looked so good that it was baiting me into a false sense of security that killed me. Gets far away from us and blade beams the Mimic until it switches the last one to us. Only downside to the roar defenses, when it wears off and you don't notice, that damage stacks up a lot faster. I'm also seeing why I got so greedy, because if you don't do this fight quickly, it takes forever. We ran out of stamina whiffing a charged attack and get grabbed, but I just wanted you to see that grab. It looks so cool. And then we killed the Elden Beast. Only 1 death, but it's not over until Malenia is dead. Well, Malenia, get ready for the ultimate roar technique. We tend to save her for last though, so first let's roar into the castle's hole. Castle's hole. Is there an echo in here? There are 3 dudes, and they're aggressive. Big mistake. Don't get close to me, that's where my axe is. Niall gets annihilated. Did you know that overkill is an overrated concept? I'm dropping 10,000 damage on this helpless old man. We run past the Rotten Duelists in the consecrated snowfield, probably, they're out there somewhere, and that's a totally different build that I'll put on a poll some other time.
They're entirely separate species, like the difference between an elephant and an elephant seal.
Penguin Noble gets blasted. The charge of our charge also kind of stunlocks NPCs. Maybe that will work for Malenia. Only time will tell. For now, did you know Mohg is problematic? Everyone loves to mention it, like, wow, I can't believe that blood god Satan isn't the best guy. Eventually I'm gonna make a chat bingo board, and I don't know if the free space should be, you can back up during the arrow phase of Radahn, or did you know that Mohg is a PDF file? There are honestly so many free spaces I could do. Anyway, problematic blood god doesn't do very well against massive damage. The fight is a DPS test, and it's the only test these himbos will ever pass. Mohg ends up counting way too many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times? Huh? But no stance break until after he heals? What's going on? Best not to dwell on it. Just bash him down, because we always have to cancel Mohg, Lord of Blood, I guess. Placiduous Axe can roar, but he doesn't roar like we do. When a health bar is chunky, our damage has to be extra funky. Sadly, our roar ends before we can get the stance break, so we hit him with a normal charged attack.
I'm going to throw up.
Keep it together, and then we watch the teleporting. But he only ever does it 3 times in a row. Unless he teleports 4 times, or 5 times, or 6 times, or 7 times. All of this cardio is not what the Duelist is looking to do. We're gonna get a lean runner's frame. I'm so mad. I just want to get a stance break and stop the Omega laser from ever happening. God, damage is cool. Apparently we won't graduate if we don't go to the study hall. Whatever. At least we get some hugs and all that. Duelist Axe, more like 40, stack some weights up because I'm done with this nerd shit. Get on those toes and smash them up. That's all we gotta do. Liturgical Town and Haligtree aren't a big deal. We just make our way to the swag jump, and of course these cool ass dudes are landing their swag ass jumps. Bring in the boy and just go for unpunished charged attacks. Trains are stronger than horses. Who could have guessed? Thankfully, we can sprint through the waterfall on New Game Plus. When I say Kenneth Haidt walked so the Grave Warden Duelist can run, that is not a metaphor. That is literally why we can run through the waterfall. Finally, a challenge worthy of the Duelists, Malenia. We gotta back up to bring in the other one, then run in. Sometimes we stagger her with the charge, but if she moves out of the way, we get punished. Hard. Phase 2, we get rotted by the waterfowl dance, but we did make it to phase 2 on the first attempt. That's a good sign. Second try, someone was insistent that the mimic was getting in our way and stopped us from getting a charge chain going.
Wrong.
The super armor dashes are what stop us from getting the charge chain going. There are strats that cheese Malenia, but they have varying levels of success. I'd say running charged attack is around like a 20%, and that's 20% of the charge's work. Not that it wins the fight 20% of the time. Half of the time, someone says they have Malenia cheese, they forgot to add the addendum as long as she doesn't move. That's a pretty big addendum. My mono green deck works great as long as the other people I'm playing with don't have any interaction. But that's fine. We have our other Duelist, and that helps us get windows to absolutely pancake the Goddess of Rot. The first run that isn't scientific goes great. Of course it's not. These boys don't want to go to science class. She goes to the onion, and that's a free big slam. Then Hammer Bro distracts her so we can hit her with more and get her to go for a second onion. Just a few more hits and we win. No problem. At 6 hours and 7 minutes, we beat 35 bosses and only died 8 times. But that's also a deceptive number. Remember how farming took an hour and a half? Even with that crushing farming time, it's right behind the All-Membes speedrun in S tier, and that's pretty shocking. The axe is slow, it's short, there's no status effects, constantly whiffs, but it turns out if you crank 3 stats, vigor, endurance, and strength, and then get a buddy to tank some aggro, the build just works. When it hits hard enough to make up for every negative and then some. Absolute Giga Chad behavior. I should have expected nothing less from the titans of the badass industry. Every bit of hype I pour on them when I see them is justified. Go off, kings. Go off into the great beyond of S tier. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make new videos all the time. Join the Patreon to support the channel. It's the best place to do it. You get to vote in the polls, join the Discord, maybe even play a couple rounds of Helldivers or Commander with your favorite Elden Ring man. And join us on Twitch. We're doing some wild stuff before the DLC comes out. You don't want to miss that.